If you have a little technical difficulties that will continue in there, it'll be well worth your time, and I'd rather not get started officially till we get the slides up, because that's what we have a lot to share with you, to show you. But I have a thought.
Really?
What's the wireless network here?
What do you think?
Cambridge.
Cambridge and any small and.
0313.
The password. Sorry, guys.
If it's showing on screen, you can show us slides. You should be able to just click out of this, because we don't have it online. Do you want to maybe? Okay, just show it this time. Wow, sorry.
Murphy's
Adam, you have any thoughts?
Oh. Connected to that too.
You did well in your.
Yeah. What's the problem?
I'm not
I mean, it
sure.
looks like it's projecting.
Oh, I think we're getting there.
We're good.
Good, okay, we're good.
All right.
You don't mind coming to all of our meetings.
Wow. Okay, just quick logistics. This is the last session of the day, so please give me your evaluation form at the end before you leave, or drop it off at the front desk. With badges, we really appreciate it. So this is a highly technical group that we make here.
There you go.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay, all right. Well, we've got a really great panel. It's going to talk about how to use social media to stand out in the crowd. And here is Barb Cardell. He's Director of Social Media at Overdrive Interactive. We also have Lou, where are you? Lou Sabek, who is a social media strategist and founder of Publish Today Media, also a partner in Business Plus One. And then we have Vicki Smith, who is a senior account manager at Amergen and a singer-songwriter. So the big question for me is, what kind of songs do you write?
I call it chick rock.
Chick rock? Okay. Well, maybe we'll hear some of it later.
How'd you guess? How'd you guess? Thank you, Amy. So I'm Bob, this is Lou and Vicki, and we're going to talk about social media, how to use social media to stand out in the crowd. And as Amy was referring to Vicki as a singer-songwriter, we might even have a little performance towards the end of the session, so we're sticking around until the very end. Vicki, I used to work with at THD, and she's now at Emergent, but on the side, she's a singer-songwriter, and she has used social media to promote her musical career. So she's going to speak last, and it'll be really interesting to hear her talk about using Twitter and Facebook to grow her audience and actually sell her tunes. And I know all about Vicki's success using social media to promote her musical career, so it's a nice story. I know you're going to enjoy hearing her talk about that. And Lou is going to talk about how to use LinkedIn. So that's more for the business crowd, B2B, and also promoting your own online profile, your own reputation, if you will. Your LinkedIn presence, very, very important, obviously, nowadays. And I'm going to talk about Twitter. And I'm going to talk about 10 ways to stand out on Twitter. What my presentation is based on is an article I recently wrote for ClickZ, or Clicks, and it featured 10 examples of brands, big brands, name brands that you would know of, who are using Twitter quite creatively. And what I did in that article was have one example for each of my 10 ways. Today I have about 5 examples each. So I have a lot of slides, but I can go through them quickly, and I think you'll see a lot of good ideas, and some of them are pretty funny. Nowadays, brands are doing a lot to engage with each other, to newsjack. If you know what that means? If you don't, I'll tell you what it is in just a minute. And watching Twitter during a big event, I don't know if you watch the Grammys or the Oscars or the Super Bowl, and you have the second screen going. The second screen is your laptop or a tablet or just your mobile device, and you follow the tweets. That's the second screen, and it's the back channel. There's different terms for it. A lot of fun to not only watch but participate in what people are saying on Twitter about a big event. I'm going to show you some examples. So, how do you stand out in a crowd, a big crowd now of over 241 million active Twitter users? There are 10 different ways that I've identified, starting with newsjacking, what's hot, what's in the news, what's happening now, asking questions. Any direct marketer knows you want to engage an audience, if you want to get a response from your customers and prospects, you want to ask them a question. A lot of tweets are asking people questions nowadays. That's a great way to engage with your constituents. Engage with other brands. This is a fairly new trend, and I love this one because it could be Coke engaging with Pepsi, IBM, making this up, engaging with Apple. But those are good examples, and I have a few that are real, that are actually quite funny. And it's a nice trend. There's no reason you can't do it on behalf of your clients, or if you are a brand yourself, as yourself. Embrace your fans. This is kind of showing the love to those who buy from you, those who support you. Talk about the weather. Everybody's always interested in the weather. It's the lowest common denominator, if you will, of conversation. It's something everyone can relate to. Be responsive. This is customer service on Twitter. Have a sense of humor. Give something away, contests, sweepstakes, etc. Be inspirational. I have some good examples of, say, Nike or I think it's Power Bar, inspiring those who follow them on Twitter to run further, faster, etc. And share your knowledge. It's so important to give more than you take. And I know Vicki has a point about that in her presentation on Twitter. Give to others, it'll come back to you. Sometimes more than you expect. So, starting with newsjacking, what's hot. What you're going to see is the text right from my article. I won't read it word for word, but again, I'm going to show you 5 or 6 different examples. But I'll summarize what I'm saying here. It's the big events. It's the Grammys or the Olympics or World Series. I'm trying to think. Any major news event. It could be a tragic event. It could be a happy occasion. Brands are getting into the conversation by, it could be today. It could be NEDMA 14. And it could be a company in the audience that wants to get into the conversation. So they'll use the hashtag, but they'll use it in a clever, tasteful, appropriate, relevant way, because you do have to be careful about newsjacking. You don't want to be inappropriate. You don't want to be disrespectful, because you're kind of jumping into another conversation that isn't necessarily yours. Here's some great examples. DiGiorno Pizza. This was during the Super Bowl. This game's like a DiGiorno Pizza because it was done after 20 minutes. Thanks for watching the game. We'll blow out this year. But clever. And you know what, I've read that some brands are, writing. I'm a copywriter by trade. I used to write a lot of direct mail and email. Now it's social media. Writers are being hired left and right now to write tweets for these big brands. And I've heard even comedians might get gigs writing tweets for some of the biggest brands, because they're looking for humor. Humor plays very, very well on Twitter. Dunkin' Donuts, great account to follow. They're so, so clever. Here's them sharing a Vine video. I'm not going to show you all 6 seconds of the Vine. We could go online and watch it. But the idea is, I think this was during the Oscars. It was a red carpet event, either Oscars, Grammys, Emmys. But the stars are ready for their close-up, and so are we. Sure, they planned this. It was contrived. I'm sure they figured it all out and have it all ready to go. But they newsjack the event on a timely basis. And that's how you do it. That's what the big brands do. Pretzel Crisp. I don't know how many of you have heard of Pretzel Crisp. If you've tried Pretzel Crisp, I heard of it because they reached out to me on Twitter, and I bought Pretzel Crisp, and I tried Pretzel Crisp, and they're delicious. They're good snack food. but they're great on Twitter, and that's how they're introducing their product to their audience. And again, here's a clever way during the Super Bowl, okay, you made your pick, now pick between our different flavors of snack foods. And Subway restaurants, retweet if you're counting down the seconds to kickoff. Clever. So the idea is, you want to appear timely, and in many cases you are being timely. It's impromptu, real-time marketing. But sometimes you can plan this out, and I'm sure most of these brands do. And it's the kind of thing agencies like Overdrive does on behalf of their clients in advance. We plot it out. Yes, Bob?
Well, after they create a tweet like that, how often does that go out? Does it go out like multiple times during the course of the day?
Very good question. No, I would imagine only once, to be honest with you, Bob. Because you very rarely would tweet. You could, but it's very rare you would tweet the exact tweet again. You might do a variation of it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But my guess is something like this would only go out once. But
Seems like one hit only? Just seems
I know,
kind
it
of-
seems like a lot, but when you think about it, it's a big idea.
I know that.
But not that much has to go into it. It's a clever picture of,
They didn't use hashtags, so I think that's a miss.
Yeah, two of the examples, they're gonna ask, what's the guidelines on including the, like, Super Bowl's the hashtag that's referenced in two, and not the other two. I mean, when I sometimes do that, I'm searching the hashtag and
you
following
should
three.
include the
But
hashtag.
these
If you
because they
truly
lose all
want
the
to
views.
newsjack, you should include the hashtag. I don't remember, this might not have been a Super Bowl, I honestly don't remember. This could have been just a Sunday afternoon, football
Yeah,
Sunday.
September 5th, so.
September.
Oh, there you go, yeah. So it wasn't the Super Bowl, yeah. And Bob, yeah, most tweets are only used once. You can repeat a tweet, but it's very rare that you would do it exactly. You usually mix it up a little, then send a variation of that again. And you know what, they could use that every Sunday during football Sunday.
Saturday and Sunday.
Saturday, Sunday, college football, right? Friday night, high school
Friday night,
football.
there you go. No scalable.
Really funny, really odd. Who would have thought this, that secret deodorant would newsjack the Grammys? How clever is that? Now, Bob, this is actually going to answer your question, because I looked at all their tweets. They did this theme all night during the Grammys. Do you know what I mean? They had a bunch of different tweets all about their pit camp. That's really out there. Really bold, clever, funny. Look, I could talk about each of these for a long time, but I want to give their fair share of the block of time we have here. So that was just one, Newsjack. Ask questions. Again, great way to engage people. That's good networking, good marketing. So here we go. Regis USA, how long is your commute? Very basic question. They happen to, from what I understand, sell or rent office space. If you have remote offices for your company. So they're talking about a commute. Maybe that's, in fact, it does tie into their branding, their messaging, because they're probably saying, hey, we want to reinforce our brand message. If we have office locations closer to homes, if you have a long commute, you might be more likely to be a customer of theirs. But anyways, nice question. A lot of us can relate to that. New York Life, who taught you the value of teamwork? Olive Garden. Some of these are clever, nice, quick. This is why for writers on Twitter, if you can put together quick, snappy phrases and one-liners, Twitter's a great arena for you. Budweiser, hashtag, Kevin Harvick, one of the drivers, NASCAR, hashtag, handle